Hey sketchy friends, so I keep saying it, but I really want to get better at people sketching, and to do that I need to do more of it. So tomorrow, which is Monday the 6th of March, the 1 week 100 people challenge starts, which is organised by Liz Steele and Mark Taro Holmes. My results in previous years have definitely been nowhere near 100. It's not even 1 week, it's 5 days. I'm like looking at my schedule for Monday to Friday and thinking, oh my God, I don't know when I am going to get time to do this. And I know there's probably a lot of you guys that are in the same boat. The convenient thing is that the rules don't say that you don't have to sketch all 100 people on location. So perhaps that helps, like maybe in the evenings I can do some people sketching from other sources. More on that later on. So yeah, I'm just going to have a go, and I hope you're going to also give it a go. It equates to about 20 people a day, which when you think about it that way is not too bad. Let's see what happens. But anyway, let's get into the video. These are my 7 tips that I've kind of curated from other people sketchers, but also things I've been thinking about and how to improve my people sketching as well. So tip number 1 is don't get hung up on details. If you're drawing people in a cafe scene, if there's multiple people, you don't have to draw their faces. It's too small to capture any real detail or get any likeness or anything like that. And personally, I think drawing faceless people is completely appropriate. And for an example, you can check out Roisin Curé's work. I mean, she does draw the faces, but if you look at her work, you'll see that she just draws dots for eyes, for example. So try and keep that in mind. I know it's easy to just want to focus on the face because that's what we are drawn to. But definitely in a scene where there's multiple people, actually just focus on the shape of the person and like how they're interacting with the environment around them. So I've got an example that I did a little while ago, and I just followed Roisin Curé's method of just putting eyes in, and I just have the basic outline of the shape of the face because they were sat a side profile onto me. So this is an example of what I'm talking about basically. Okay, tip number 2 is copy some of your favorite sketches and sketchers. So these are studies, and it's great practice to do something like this in your sketchbook. There's absolutely no harm in doing this. People have been doing it for centuries. That's probably an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. So yeah, there's no harm in this as long as you're not running around claiming it's your own artwork, obviously, which, you know, no one's going to, well, you're not going to do that. But yeah, copying is really useful because it helps you understand what marks sketchers are making to interpret certain parts of the body. And just by looking and doing what they're doing, you kind of, it's like a head-hand connection, like you're understanding how they are getting what they're seeing down onto the paper. So if you want to check out some of my favorite people sketches, I've got 2 videos that you can have a look at. This is the first one, which was much earlier on in my YouTube channel. And then this is the second one, which was quite a lot later on. So different sketches in both videos, well worth checking out. So number 3, and you've probably heard this one before, and it's definitely something I want to do, is take some life drawing classes. So yes, generally the models are nude and it's more of an academic study, but it really can't hurt to have a go at this. Especially if these sessions are taught sessions rather than just pitch up with a bit of paper and just go for it kind of thing. I would quite like some taught sessions as well. I'm just really into the idea of having a big old piece of paper and a bit of charcoal and like really, you know, moving your whole arm to like get a gesture or a shape or something like that. It really can't hurt to like try and get your head around some basic anatomy. You know, we don't have to go crazy and learn the Latin names for every part of the body, but just getting a basic idea of how like the muscle structure of an arm or something is probably, and I say probably because I haven't done it yet, probably really going to help just in your everyday people sketches. So I do highly recommend that. I haven't actually found any life drawing classes. I haven't looked that hard yet near me. But there is also the good old internet, and there are online life drawing websites that you can use. I'll look up a few and put them in the description below. So this leads me on to my strategy of how I'm going to do this 100, I keep saying it wrong, sorry guys, 1 week, 100 people challenge. Because I really don't think I'm going to have time to get out and do this, all of it at least, on location, which would be my preference, to be honest with you. But I started a website called peoplesketching.com, and on it you'll find a library of videos of just normal people in normal situations going about their normal business. Some videos people are just sitting, other videos people are doing things. There's a couple where people are even dancing. That's like more advanced stuff. So at the moment I've just got just over 100 videos on there, and I'm trying to add to it all the time. It is an ongoing project. It kind of goes in fits and starts at the moment because I'm just like so incredibly busy. But yeah, I want to put much more effort into it in 2023. So if you want to check that out, you're more than welcome. There is a small subscription fee, $5, just because it does cost money for me to source the videos. I pay people to make the videos for me, and I pay for the web hosting, the video hosting, blah, blah, blah. You know, it all adds up. So there's a small $5 fee, but you can kind of join or cancel as you need. Or there's an annual fee of $49, which obviously saves you a little bit of money. That is something you can check out. If you want some help with this challenge, then obviously you can just join for a month and then cancel if you want. So $5. That's how I am intending this year to get on with the challenge. Okay, so tip number 4 is blind contour drawings. These are really fun. Really didn't want to do it when I first started having a go at it. I was like, oh, this is stupid. Oh, it's gonna look really bad and blah, blah, blah. And it did, but it is actually really fun. So I'm sure most of you do know what blind contour drawings are, but for those of you that don't know, it's where you look at your subject and not at your page, and you follow the outline of your subject with your eyes whilst you are drawing the outline on your paper. So you can't look at your paper, you're just looking 100% at your subject. So I don't recommend doing this with people on location in cafes and stuff, because people are basically going to think you're weird looking at them. So like staring at them. Don't do that. Maybe just practice with like family or friends or something like that. Or you can even practice from a photo. Just look at the photo and just don't look at your page whilst you're drawing. But it's always best to do these things from life if you can. These are going to look really bad, but they do really, really loosen you up. And some of them could actually be accidentally really good, or not really good, but like fun to look at. I recommend doing this in a very cheap sketchbook or with just printer paper or something like that, so you just don't feel too precious about the whole subject matter. But it will get you looking at your subject. It will strengthen this eye-hand coordination, really, really useful. And you'll find a recommendation to do this exercise in basically every art book that exists on the planet. So there's probably a reason for that. It's useful. Okay, so tip number 5 is focus on gesture and pose. So I guess this kind of links with tip 1, where it's like don't get too into the details, but like really look for the position of the person that you're drawing, their pose, the way their body is, how they're slumped on a chair, or if they're sat up really straight, or how they're like leaning on something, or, you know, trying to get that action of how the body and the weight is just distributed is going to be so much more interesting and dynamic than actually just trying to draw like the folds of the clothes and like the details on the face and that kind of thing. Just like loosen up. So don't worry about realism. I think that's the thing with people sketching, is like it's so obvious when it's wrong, proportions and things like that. So I'm like, well, why don't you just throw that out the window? If you look at those videos I mentioned about some of those people sketches, just throw out the window. Extra long arms, long legs, gawky position. It doesn't matter. Like the more and more you do it and the less pressure that you put on it to be perfectly accurate and realistic, the more fun it's going to be. Therefore, you're going to do it more. Therefore, you're going to get better. And it's just more fun to be super loose and like just really focus on the pose of the human body rather than the details. So tip number 6 is focusing on the head and the hands. So if you've got limited time perhaps, or maybe you have kind of done some of your gesture sketches and pose sketches, maybe you want to do something slightly different, go with another strategy. Not one strategy is the one you have to follow, like try different things, you know. So I think I heard this from Mark Tarot Holmes, where if you just focus on capturing the head and the hands, those are the two most important aspects that allow you to tell the story of what the person's up to. So, you know, if you don't get time to fill in the rest, then it's fine, as long as you've got the head and the hands. So I haven't tried this yet, but it sounds like some really interesting advice, and it comes from Mark Tarot Holmes, and, you know, his people sketches are beautiful, so he must know a thing or two. And he's also the co-founder of 1 Week 100 People as well. But I did also hear this advice in a Domestica course by Bill Robles, who is a very, very famous courtroom artist. And he also mentioned something similar in his Domestica class. So again, hearing the same advice, so there must be something in it. Number 7 is simply get out and sketch. It's all very well sketching from photos and videos and that kind of thing, but it just does not compare to sitting in a cafe and sketching, having a 360-degree view, a 5-sensory experience. You know, it's just, it's a buzz. There's nothing that compares to it. Do lots of practice by all means from photos and videos. That's definitely something I'm doing as well. It absolutely cannot hurt. But also try and, you know, step yourself up to be like, right, I'm going to go and sketch at the cafe and try and put everything I've learned into practice in real life. If you're feeling nervous about it, just try and get a table or a seat somewhere with a wall behind you so no one can walk behind you. They can't see what you're doing. Try not to look up and look down and look up and look down all the time, because that is a surefire way of someone noticing what you're doing. It can be, you know, it can be a little bit daunting and nerve-wracking. Some people don't find it daunting and nerve-wracking, so I acknowledge you people as well. For most of us, it probably is quite nerve-wracking. But, you know, once you keep doing it, like anything, you'll get used to it, you'll get over it. So I would just recommend trying to sit somewhere where no one can walk behind you and see what you're doing, because that will make you more nervous. And also just trying to be subtle and stuff, and like just use a sketchbook and a pen, or a little watercolor palette and a water brush or something, just something easy like that. So people aren't kind of looking at what you're doing. But to be honest with you, most people won't notice you. They're so busy in their own little worlds, whether they're reading a book or reading a newspaper or having a conversation or looking at their smartphone or whatever. People aren't really going to notice what you're up to. And just finally, guys, I just want to mention a couple of my favorite classes or courses online that you can take on the subject of people sketching. So there's 2 on Craftsy. One is Sketching People in Motion by Mark Tarot Holmes. Highly recommend this class. It was one of the first I ever took on Craftsy, and it's just so good. And Figure Sketching Made Simple by Suhita Shirodka. I love Suhita's loose people sketches. So if you're really into like super loose kind of gestural people, then I really recommend her class. Both of them are very prominent urban sketchers. Over on Domestica, this one's slightly different because it's more portraits, but watercolor portrait sketchbook by a Spanish guy that I can't remember the name of right now, but I'll put it in the description, the link in the description below. But yeah, it was one of the first Domestica classes I think I ever took, and it actually helped me draw faces better, and it's just so good. So, you know, it's still the idea that you can do kind of covert portraits even in a cafe, if that's more your bag. You know, you want to do portraits rather than entire people or small people in scenes. Maybe that's one to check out. And then the second one on Domestica is Intro to Portrait Sketching, Draw in Real Time by Bill Robles. I mentioned him earlier. He's the super famous courtroom artist guy. So again, it's not focused solely on portraits, but I guess maybe from like the stomach upwards, just because I guess that's the kind of view that you have in the courtroom. But I really like the idea of reportage and, you know, having to capture people actually in quite a lot of detail in such a small amount of time. So that's what really drew me to that course. And yeah, Bill is obviously so prominent and so famous in that area. I just really wanted to hear what he had to say. So I found it extremely interesting. If you are interested in more the top half of the body, then I can recommend those 2 Domestica classes as well. I've taken all 4 of those classes, so that's why I can recommend them. There's probably loads more classes on other platforms, so do let us all know in the comments if you found like a particularly great people sketching class. I would love to hear from you guys. So that is it. That is my roundup of my 7 tips of how to improve people sketching. It is something I really want to do this year. It's one of my goals. Let's see if I can make it happen. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And don't forget to check out peoplesketching.com if you want some videos to sketch from. Okay, see you in the next one.